Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're bringing you a battle report from the bridge of Tier 10 British cruiser HMS Minotaur. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I play Radar Minotaur. I don't go any for this pansy smoke garbage. I play my Minotaur just like I play my Edinburgh, and that is with radar. Minotaur is one of the few ships in the game whose radar significantly outranges its spotting radius, which means that if I'm spotted, I can push my little magic button. Whatever destroyer is spotting me, now I can spot him too. And with Minotaur's guns and rate of fire, that is a very uncomfortable position for that destroyer to find themselves in. But the trick is, of course, is that Minotaur herself is kind of just an oversized destroyer with the Citadel. She's incredibly fragile. She has a lot of great torpedoes. She has that ridiculous British cruiser heel. But you have to treat this ship gently or you'll find yourself slapped off the board in very short order. Spawning here on the north side of Hotspot with a div mate. That's right, what you can't tell because he's using his fancy press account, that is fellow North American community contributor 7. 7 and I were divvied up a couple of weeks ago on his stream. I crashed his stream one night and was like, hey man, I'm feeling some boats tonight. You want a div mate? And he was streaming and he said, sure. And huge props to him for that. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to let me come in, wander in, and kind of crash his stream. But Seven's a great guy to hang out with. If you guys don't follow him on Twitch, I'll put a link down below in the video description. Go check him out. Tons of fun to watch. Just super chill, relaxed, great music stream. I mean, the guy streams with his keyboards right behind him, right? Like, how much more musical can you get than that? And every now and then he'll turn around and put him to good use. So he's a fellow baseball fan, and this was right after my baseball team, or his baseball team, had been in town playing here in Houston, and they got their clocks cleaned, and I had to go show up and give him just a little bit of crap, right? Because what else are friends for if not to talk smack to each other, right? But the nice thing about having a destroyer div mate when you're playing a radar minnow is that you can have moments like this where I can have all the smoke in the world that I might want and still have my radar, which I'm a huge fan of. Now, the friendly Friesland has also smoked right in front of me, so I'm actually going to end up a little farther forward than I otherwise might in the Friesland smoke. I know there's at least one destroyer down here. We're going to put up the radar and we're going to find not one cockroach, but two. So, with the Benson taking a torpedo, he is going to be target number 1, but I'm apparently a little rusty. You're going to see a lot of these shells missing. This Benson, for a while, is giving me great shots. I should have annihilated him in about 3 salvos, and I'm just not landing the shells. It's really, really messing with me, and so, yeah, that feels kind of bad. I do finally manage to bag him. It just, it takes a little longer than it probably should have. The other problem I'm going to run into, of course, is that there are Benson torpedoes coming in. I can see them. But Minotaur does not handle well at low speed. Once you get some speed on her, she does okay. But in the smoke and these kinds of speeds, it's very bad. Now, two horrible things have just happened to me. I'm going to pause the video here real quick. One is, I just took a torpedo. It was a Benson torp, took about 10k. That's not so catastrophically awful. The problem is there's a double salvo of Fletcher torpedoes coming in, and I've already cut my throttle. My thinking here is, there's a gap. I can potentially, if I can get moving, I can drive forward into that gap. See that gap there between the second and third row? Unfortunately, Minotaur, the British light cruisers accelerate quickly. The problem is that they don't accelerate quickly from, they don't get into reverse quickly, and they don't leave reverse quickly. And so that did not work out. I took 30k from the Benson torps. I have to burn one of my fancy heals just to claw my way back to half HP. But that shows you the staggering difference in American destroyer torpedo firepower. The Benson torpedoes like, that tickled a little bit. The Fletcher torpedoes were like, oh my goodness, that's catastrophic. That's another reason that I vastly prefer Fletcher almost over any other destroyer in the American line. But back to Minotaur. The opposing Fletcher is still lurking around the cap. A little surprising to me, if I'm honest. He's going to smoke here, but there's still a Friesland, a Harugumo, and me. This is not a comfortable place for him to hang out. There's already a double rack of Harugumo torps going on his last known position. And I got money says the Friesland is going to go up there and hunt him down with his fancy hydro. And just like that, there he is. I'm going to put some salvos downrange on this guy, but the Friesland is absolutely going to take care of it. And just like that, both opposing destroyers on this flank are no more. Now, there's not much else for me to do on this flank. When you're playing a destroyer hunter like this in a Minotaur, basically you have to go where the destroyers are. And one of the things that I've noticed, this opposing Felix Schultz is playing a middle position here on Hotspot. Now, kudos to this guy. I like playing middle destroyer on Hotspot and other maps that allow for it. Maps like, say, Crash Zone Alpha. But the trick is, the rub is that you still need a little bit of support when you're out there all by yourself. And this particular Schultz doesn't really have it. If you look at the minimap, you can see the Des Moines, that's way over on the 2 line, has a bit of an odd position that might allow a little bit of cover. And the Conqueror, perhaps. But basically, the Friedrich de Grobe on the 1 line is long out of the fight. Then you've got the Veneto and the Vermont that are on the 9 line. They're not going to be much backup. And so I've come all the way back to the middle of the board by myself, more or less. There's a Takal with me. But I've decided it's time to assassinate this guy. And sure enough, with 54 seconds of 10-kilometer radar, this guy is in trouble. Because Schultz, of course, has a bit of a leg up in a fight against other destroyers. Her armor profile allows her to hopefully shrug off some of the HE shells they're going to be throwing. But ladies and gentlemen, Minotaur is no destroyer. She might play like one, but she don't hit like one. And just like that, we got a couple of quick kills on less than 30,000 damage. Now, one of the things you noticed that Schultz was firing AP at me. That was the right move, but I was showing him off at an angle that he can't get it through my armor. Minotaur is lightly armored, but she's heavily armored enough to throw off light cruiser shells, which is basically what Schultz is, at the right angle. The Friedrich on the 2 line takes a pot shot at me. I take a couple more hits, but life goes on. And so now the opposing team is down to just one last destroyer. That's that Shimakaze that's been kind of lurking around over here in the islands of the decap. And so I decide, well, again, what did I just say? Go where the destroyers are. Now, this is a bit of a risk, right? This Des Moines is backing up. He's in the cap. But here's the trick. I've got him lit between me and the Burgonia and the other people. There's a lot of people shooting at this guy. I'm not going to open fire on him because a Des Moines will end my game very quickly. At almost any angle I show him. Those improved American piercing angles just do horrible, mean things to Minotaur. It's just not nice. But if I light this guy for my team, I'm relatively confident they'll end him because they've been doing a pretty good job of beating up on him so far. Still not sure where the Shimakaze is. Right now I'm trying to move into a position to throw some torpedoes downrange on this battleship charge that's coming up the 9 line. Team's done a really good job of kind of backing away and letting these guys have space, but they don't know that I'm here, or at least they don't know for sure. They might suspect I'm playing mid. They know that much at least, but they don't know where I am exactly. And one of the nice things about Minotaur is that she has the capability to, by her own play with her suite of tools, engineer a board position whereby she can actually act as the destroyer. You have 10-kilometer torpedoes, you have 9.1-kilometer detection, and if all the other destroyers are dead because you used your radar to assassinate them, very, very few ships have even the opportunity to outspot you. And that's exactly what's going to happen right here. This Lepanto is continuing to charge around the corner, beating up on our friendly Minnesota, who had grounded on an island back there. Bad luck for him, old chum. My team does me a solid. They bag the Des Moines in the decap, and ladies and gentlemen, that means it's time to cap. So, we're going to go in here. Now, we know there's a Shimakaze somewhere in the area, but we don't know where. So, let's be a little cautious and smart. We suspect he's close. I see the torpedo salvo go across my bow, and oh, well, yes, he's very close. In fact, this Shimakaze's game is over. He simply doesn't know it yet. Because I'm about to come around the corner, and, well, I'm going to do Minotaur things to the poor guy. There's kill number 3 on a bare, not even to 35,000 damage, and the game's almost 10 minutes in. Torpedo salvo on the Lepanto's looking good. I've got a bunch downrange. I only need one of them to connect. He's pretty low. Yeah, this guy's going out. He's going to catch at least one of those. He hath caught the torpedoes. Kill number 4. Now, still haven't hit 35,000 damage, and I look up and realize I'm on the verge of a Kraken? What is happening here? Okay, well, I guess that's the way this game's going to go. Now, I have a couple of really good opportunities here. 1, I'm able to cap D. 2, I'm able to steal the Shimakaze's smoke that he was so kind to leave behind for me when he died. And you see there, I've got almost, see the timer, I've got almost a full minute to sit here and farm this squishy Vermont with my pretty beautiful light cruiser AP shells. Because Vermont is soft. Vermont is soft in the topsides armor. Her casemate or superstructure, she's going to eat lots of these as full pins. And I'm just, racking up the damage. It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. Now, I have to be a little frosty, though. You see that opposing Veneto? He is coming down the 8 line into this cap area, and I don't like that. Now, I think what most battleships do, you see a lot of players do this, they ride that island, right? That island over there on the 8-9 line, they kind of parallel it, and they keep their guns into the cap. That's what I was expecting this guy to do. So I overled these torpedoes. They are going to be absolutely meaningless. The Veneto obviously kind of suspects or knows I'm here. He certainly knows now. But I've got enough island cover that, well, he's not going to have good or consistent shots on me for a while. And as it turns out, this Veneto has actually made a fairly significant tactical decision. And that is, he's now trapped in here with me. Much like the Watchman quote, y'all are trapped in here with me, kids, because now his maneuvering options are very limited, and while my port torpedoes are on cooldown, they come back in less than 40 seconds now, basically right at 40 seconds. I have all the tools in the world to keep him spotted between my radar and my friendly ships, and I've got plenty of cover. So at this point, there's no need for me to go out here and get slapped off the board by this guy. We're going to chill right here and just let him continue to wander into the trap that he has unwittingly wandered into. This is hilarious. Torpedoes down to about 10-second reload. I have a check. His guns are looking mid. He's looking at the Bismarck. So perfect. I don't really have to worry about this guy anymore. Going to come around the corner. We're going to take some cheap shots into his upper belt and casemate armor. But the torpedoes come up, and well, ladies and gentlemen, I need to report a murder. Yup. Yup. Look at me. I'm the destroyer now. And just like that, we have a Kraken. On a respectable 90,000 damage. Now, a minute ago, my damage was pretty pathetic, but the ability to kind of farm some damage off battleships and get some good torpedo hits into the action has made a big difference here. And now, with 7.5 minutes left to play in this game, you can look at the map, you can look at the score, the ships. This is pretty well over. The opposing Friedrich has been playing the edge of the map all game. He remains largely ineffective. The opposing Conqueror is in at least a 3-on-1, although now you can see 7's Harugamo chiming in as well. He's not going to be long for this game. I'm going to swing over here. We're going to put some chip damage into him on his way out the door. He's already in range. But I'm trying to get all my guns on target and give myself a better option, a better angle here, and just get more damage out of it. But yeah, this is going to be a win. So, I mean, this is not a lopsided win. Well, it is kind of a lopsided win, but it didn't have to be, right? Some things to keep in mind, and a couple of the reasons I'm showing you this replay. One is, there are some maps in the game, and I mentioned specifically Crash Zone Alpha and Hotspot. There are others. Neighbors is another example, perhaps, that the middle board position can be very, very strong and very, very rewarding. It is a high-risk, high-reward position. You need to be considering that. Too commonly, I see players in randoms immediately run for the map edges. And it's like, I really wish people would at least stop and consider that middle board position. Or at least look back at the minimap on occasion. I know, map awareness is not really a thing for most Warships players. But look back at the minimap and evaluate, well, could I make this work? I was able to look at the minimap here and realize that Schultz was kind of hung out to dry. He had a little bit of support, but it wasn't great support, and it wasn't well positioned to really support him when he was going to need it from the angle that I was going to be approaching him from. And so I was able to ruin that guy's game. But consider the middle of the board position on occasion, guys. I feel like it gets overlooked too often. The other thing is, when you see a Minotaur or an Edinburgh in a game on the opposing team and you're on a destroyer, do not assume that they have smoke. Make them prove to you that they have smoke until you know otherwise. You have to treat, when you look at the enemy lineup and you see a Minotaur or an Edinburgh, or any other ship whose radar outranges its detection radius, you have to assume, you have to treat that as a radar ship until you see them drop smoke, and you go, okay, great. Now I know he doesn't have radar. I can treat him a little differently. He is less of a threat to my person in terms of he doesn't have his little instant detection button. Okay, so anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. I love Minotaur. She's just so much fun. This is such a great ship. Anyway, guys, you guys have a great holiday weekend. Wash your hands, be safe, and I'll catch you next time.